Well, I'm definitely going to have to cover this one because, oh my God, Americans, are we really this fucking ignorant? We really this bad? All right. Okay. This is a Hassan video. So it's like tagging along to like an immature, like 13-year-old who has the right ideas on politics, but sometimes like goes off into tangents where he's just being so stupid that he puts his foot in his mouth. I don't know that that's going to happen on this video, but sometimes it does happen. You know it does, Hassan. Let's go.
Are men falling behind male feminists versus female anti-feminists? Oh, God, I hate this. Right. This video is going to make me die. It's going to make me perish. All right, let's do it.
Can I ask you a question, though, or ask the group a question? There's more world leaders who are male, and typically I think
good, that's a good thing. Women should not be in positions of extreme leadership like presidents, et cetera, et cetera.
What is this, the Pick-Me Olympics, dude? Got him. Owned. Okay, let's watch.
Because we're too emotional.
I'm feeling a lot of emotion right
now. Oh, dude. Weakest male feminist. Weakest male feminist. Look at him. If these men are going up against feminists, like, don't they have a dominant hand in the conversation? Because, like, they're men? Like, I don't really get it. They could just be like, I'm a man, you're a woman, shut the fuck up. And then the argument is over, right? And they have to go, yes, master, I live to serve you.
If you agree...
She doesn't believe that, Hassan. She doesn't believe that for a fucking second. She believes that she's so hot that men will willingly take care of her. And that's why she wants to be a submissive. Because she doesn't want to have to work for a fucking living.
Step forward. Women have more privileges today than men.
Oh, do we? Okay.
If you are born into this life with a vagina, you inherently have 10 times more privilege than a man. From the time they are little, girls are always like doted on and you're so pretty and cute. Very coddled. They're coddled.
There's a very misogynistic saying in Turkish.
Yeah, I don't recall that happening to me when I was a little kid whose mother cut my hair too short, like over and over again. And I kept getting confused for a twin to my brother. But you go, girl. Okay, so all little girls are doted on? Okay, you had a very different life experience than I did. Okay.
That I'm going to bring up right now, which I think is very funny, is haha misogyny. Ironic misogyny is still misogyny, Hasan. You're trash. Yes, that's right. I am. Dünya kadar malım olacağına fındık kadar amım olsun. Now, what that translates directly to is, I would rather have a pussy the size of hazelnut than the, biggest penis on the planet. Misogynistic, but that basically reduces the anti-feminist argument in and of itself. That's it. It rhymes.
Does it? Because all I'm hearing right there from your analogy is that you want a tight pussy. You want a tight pussy, right? Well, you're not going to get that from her. Because clearly, like, she's on the prowl. She's a fucking cougar. She's out there. She's going to get you. She's fucking going to get you. Like, you want a tight pussy, then you deal with people who are somewhat modest. And you can absolutely find modest people who agree with your belief systems. You just have to look for it, because not everybody is on board with the idea that we need to fuck everybody. It's not there for the majority of us. There are a lot of sluts in the movement who are just looking for party opportunities. But most of us actually are pretty modest, I would say.
Basically, it's the same thing that they're saying, which is that women have it better.
You can kind of be a degenerate woman and have a hot body and be a millionaire on OnlyFans. Yes. Men don't have that privilege.
Excuse me?
Right?
Does she think that there aren't, like, sexy guys who make a lot of money? Like, I don't really understand.
Women don't have to...
Sexy and degenerate, Hassan. Degenerate. Like, what is her definition of degenerate, right? Like, you can be just like a fucking slut. You could be like a hoe bag, and you can still get the following. Really? Really? What human trafficker are you working for, girlfriend?
like work to get a guy. They're just hot. And then they get guys come to them and spend their resources on them. A man has to prove himself. He has to build a body. He has to make money. He has to build influence. He has to become a protector, a provider. Women just have that naturally by just having a vagina.
Oh, right. Okay, so while I was a single mom for 18 years until my son became an adult, I just naturally had all of those attributes. I was able to walk into every situation with those attributes. I didn't have to work at all. I didn't have to fucking hold down a full-time job so that I could give benefits to my kid and simultaneously do the adult program from Pepperdine so I could get a bachelor's in the science of management. No, I didn't have to fucking work for shit. Because all I had to do was, bat some eyelashes, right? I didn't date for 10 years while I was raising my son. I didn't date for 10 years. But you continue with your bullshit, cleavage revealing, weird puffy arm. Like, what are you, Seinfeld? What the fuck even?
It's frustrating because the feminist movement has been all about women acting like they don't have rights and acting like they have it pretty hard in the modern day world. I can't think of a single thing that I don't have that a guy has. Or
My favorite thing for a lot of anti-feminist women and the
Wait, I can think of a single thing that you don't have that a guy has. Probably a child. Right? You're probably childless, right? And your dude probably has a child on the side that he doesn't even fucking pay attention to. Right? You keep with your shit. Let's go.
way that they like cut this kind of propaganda. One of my favorite parts about this conversation always is like things are actually really great because I perceive them to be really great. And I like the things that other people would consider to be oppressive. So obviously there's no oppression. Oh, okay, got it. I guess you're right then. You know, it's literally that. It's like, in my personal view, I think it's great that, you know, men are seen as the caretakers and therefore it should stay that way. And therefore women should shut the fuck up. And also, even if they are actually working in the workplace, that's a bad thing. And we should go back to a time when they didn't. The fact that you have this choice means that feminism has basically succeeded to a certain degree in at least taking away some aspects of the patriarchal constructs that we still exist under. That's it. And there are obviously also meaningful ways in which you take advantage of that reality on your day-to-day basis, like the fact that you can go on a fucking show and chirp. You're taking advantage of that. You're taking advantage of like fights that women and men before you has fought.
That they only have. I would say the one thing I would say is the safety thing. That's the only thing that I would say is that women are disadvantaged from by nature. Women are not as physically strong. I mean, you're physically strong, but as physically strong.
I'll take it.
These great biceps. And men just are. And if you're walking down a dark alley as a woman, you're going to feel some type of way sometimes, right?
That's why we need guns.
Well, there you go.
Seriously, I walked down so many dark alleys while I was walking for Unite Here Local 11, you guys. I did with several other women, several other single moms. Because we were out there until about 8:15, 8 o'clock each night during winter while it was still dark. We were walking in some dangerous areas of LA. Okay, Miss Privilege. Some of us have to work a lot harder than you.
Can I have the disagree a step forward?
I appreciated the distinction of more versus different privileges. You can't just
use a broad brush and paint the entire debate and say, all right, well, this is men have more than women, that's it. Like, women that must inherently then have no privileges. That's not how it works. And that's where we start to get into the idea of like intersectionality, where another woman who had a different experience, if it was a trans woman, if it was a woman of color, if it was
But
a
I
woman
don't
who
think
was...
we're including trans women into feminism.
And I think...
Oh, I'm shocked to find out that the anti-feminist is also anti-trans. That's crazy.
Right.
They're not even a TERF, man. They can't be a TERF. They're not even a radfem. They're anti-feminist. They're trans-exclusionary radical anti-feminists. They're TERFs, not even TERFs.
We definitely should.
I don't think we should
don't think
at
we
all.
should.
I think that trans women should not be a part of the feminist movement because a man, just because they, wake up and feel like they can be a woman one day, could come in and then suddenly know what it's like to have a period or know what it's like to have a child. It's anything from men replacing women in sports to...
This is complete. I can't even, dude. I can't even with you and your bullshit. First of all, these are different topics. This is why the birthing person thing blew up so hard for Anna Kasparian. Is that these are different topics. There are some people who have the ability to produce life, whether they want to or not, or whether they have medical problems during the pregnancy, which is very common. There's a difference between people who are capable of producing life versus people who are on the gender spectrum and identify as female, despite what parts, like dominant parts, might have been showing on them, because oftentimes they also have other physical attributes that like support the claim that they're on the spectrum. But oftentimes it's more of a psychological thing of, I feel this way. I feel like this is how my body should have been. And you know what? Who the fuck are you to judge them and exclude them? Who the fuck are you to judge them and exclude them?
Men replacing women on podcasts during Women's Month and when we're talking about women's health, or you've even got
Also, she's not even a feminist. Why the fuck does she even care if trans women are included or not? That's a great question. See, that's the funniest part about it. If you're anti-feminist, why do you care if men are fucking dominant? In your mind, if you think trans women are men, why the fuck do you care if men are dominating women? Women shouldn't even be doing sports, right? Or do you think women should be doing sports? You're anti-feminist, but then you're also advocating for this from a supposed busted feminist perspective, because there is no belief. It's just cruelty. What, you think half the fucking conservative men literally genuinely give a shit about women's sports in high school? What are you, fucking psychotic? No, they make...
We literally just got equal pay for soccer players, for female soccer players, like quite recently. And I have been bombarded with ads about it on YouTube. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. They're like, oh, but you were born with male anatomy, so therefore you must be the buffest dude ever, and you're gonna tear down these female swimmers. It's fucking ridiculous, like, look, if somebody, what are you gonna do if, what did she change her name to? Jenner. Caitlyn, right? Caitlyn Jenner. She changed her name to Caitlyn Jenner. What are you going to do if Caitlyn Jenner tries to start competing in female events? You're going to have to fucking suck it up, Buttercup.
Make fun of professional female sports. They've historically done it, and they still will do it. But only as it pertains to trans people existing in society will they, for a brief moment, act like all of those things that they've said about women's sports, about how it sucks, how it's unwatchable, all of that washes away for that brief moment where they can make the consistent argument about how, it's about equality in women's sports. Even though it's not like fucking trans people are just like absolutely eviscerating cis women in any fucking field.
biological men who think they're women going to the White House speaking on behalf of all women.
I do have a question for you based on the prompt, though, because you've lived in both experiences, at least socially. I'm curious, when you transitioned to male and people started perceiving you as male, like most people did today, what privileges changed for you, or what did you see enter your life that you didn't have before?
Yeah, and that's sort of where a lot of my beliefs in feminism do lie, is because being out into the world as a gay woman was the way I was seen. men treated me definitely not nearly as well as they did. I was bullied in school. I had people call me slurs, and it seemed like it was because I was threatening to like the male structure that we are in, where it's like male and female. Because I was a female who liked females, I was somehow infringing on that, and so they didn't like me. Things change naturally when you socially transition and are perceived by the world in a different way. When I transitioned from being perceived as female to the world to just pretty much passing or blending full-time as male, was that I got a lot more respect from other men. People listened to me and took me seriously. In a social passing setting, people aren't going to harass women who are around.
Yo, trans men are in such a unique position where they literally, due to social perceptions, because gender is an expression, ultimately, due to social perceptions, literally get to see that thing that like feminists literally talk about. You literally get leveled up. It's also, I think, part of the reason why trans men are oftentimes not even in the conversation about transphobia. Well, a couple different reasons. One, because testosterone is like super powerful, and I think like everybody knows that regardless of what your gender expression might be, passing socially is often not just for like, is often not for vanity reasons.
Well, hold up, Hassan. I mean, they are putting themselves at a huge risk as well, because men tend to pound on each other. They tend to pick fights, and if they see a weak person in the room, and then they learn that person is a transgender man, they will attack them. They will. So you have to keep that in mind too, that transgender men are also at a huge risk. And so these people that are out online tearing down that community on a daily basis are incredibly dangerous to this group of people, because they could potentially get attacked. Yeah, you have to think further.
But instead for security and safety reasons, right? Testosterone being super powerful literally benefits in that regard, as far as like being able to be gender affirming and pass. And I think that like the other part of the reason is because they are more often seen as men, / also that they are men, that they get bullied less almost, or are seen as like an invisible side. Even though obviously trans man, trans woman doesn't matter, people are still going to be fucking incredibly bigoted once they find out, and trans men do get impacted from the anti-trans legislation. Of course, I'm not saying that that's not the case. It's almost a joke in the way that we even when we talk about it, like it just like breaks fucking conservatives' brains, where like the trans male shooter in Nashville, like it broke people's brains to a degree because it was a trans man. They were trying to misgender him, and then when they were trying to misgender him, they would accidentally end up correctly gendering him as a trans man, because like conservatives, like it's outside of their periphery, like they can't even comprehend it.
I say that yes, there are some privileges that women have that men don't, but also there's privileges that men have that women don't. I don't think women are more privileged in our society, because I could get a woman pregnant and I could just run away.
They could get you
Well, they
for
can get you
child
for child support, which they
Wait,
do.
are you saying
Oh,
she
you
can't
can
run away?
Go to jail.
Are you saying you
They
can't?
Oh, can they? We can get them for child support? No, we have to go through the DA's office and garnish their wages. And if motherfucker keeps job hopping to avoid getting that garnishment, it can take fucking years to get our child support. Don't fucking speak up when you don't know what you're talking about.
She
Take
can't
your
run away
money.
from the pregnancy.
But you
Yeah,
could
but
actually
yes,
physically leave.
Leave.
I know
I
what
can
you're
physically
saying.
leave.
At the end of the day, like,
That's crazy that she literally just completely fucking, I guess, forgot that like pregnancy, especially a forced pregnancy that you're forcibly carrying to term, is literally akin to torture. It's like your body. On the one hand, you're talking about fucking child support. On the other hand, like you're talking about a financial responsibility, of potential financial responsibility versus like literal fucking torture. Like, yeah, sure, not great, but it is wild that the other one could like kill you. And the likelihood that it kills you, especially if you're a black woman, goes up significantly when you are a black woman.
Men are falling behind in society.
I just think, we have amazing men here today. It's an honor
thank
to
you.
be on this
You
panel
barely
with
know
you, to see this masculine energy. However, I know that men are not able to be men anymore because of the feminists, modern feminist propaganda, I coach men in my practice and they tell me like, I don't even know what I can do on a date anymore. Can I ask a woman out? Am I going to get in
Bro, she's such a pick-me. She has to literally, like I said, suck up to the dudes on the fucking panel.
trouble for this now? Like, I really like her. I kind of want to put my hand around her waist, but maybe that's going to, I'm going to be all over social media, this kind of thing. And I think men don't have the balls anymore to just stand up and be.
Give me a goddamn break with this bullshit that you're about to go through. The reality is that when we are approached by somebody who got mixed messages or whatever, we're usually fairly kind and are like, hey, that's not where I am, right? What you're talking about is like either actual assault or like actual like malicious harassment, or like most of us can discern this. And most of us, if we actually have a friendship with the person involved, we'll have a conversation with that person first before, like, and depending on the reaction of that person, before we actually start like widely broadcasting it amongst our peers, right? That's generally how it will go down. But the fact that you're sitting there trying to act like a fucking sex object in the middle of telling us why we can't blame men for any of their actions, you have totally set yourself up. Like, if you were walking down a dark alley, girlfriend, you've set yourself up. Right? Isn't that your belief system? That if you wear the wrong thing, you are now responsible for the rape that happens to you? Isn't that what you're trying to get at here?
Man, be dangerous. Be fierce.
I want to respond to a lot of what you said.
Please.
Does anybody else want?
You make a really interesting point. However, I feel like a lot of the reasons why men can't actively express masculinity in a positive way is because of the patriarchal structures that we have. Part of where I'm coming from with this is I'm trans. So I was born female. Now I present as male. I came out socially and medically transitioned at 18.
Okay.
The feminist movement is what helped me feel empowered enough to be who I am and be a man.
And no disrespect to your process. I know it's a very strenuous thing that you go through, but I see a woman still. I feel feminine energy from
No, you don't. You literally don't. You don't. You have to lie. This is the funniest part. Okay, dude, listen. I'm not a trust scum. I'm not a fucking trans medicalist. But like every person knows, including all the trans people in the chat, that when you have someone who is not clockable, okay, when you have someone who is passing, absolutely, the other person literally looks like a fucking clown ass. Social acceptance and passing is not the most important component of being trans, obviously. Let's make that clear. But it is pretty fucking funny when you got people who are like very aggressively trying to be transphobic in the face of someone who's like passing, like very, very well. And they go, no, I see a woman actually. No, you don't. You accidentally correctly gendered him. If I go back in the video, it's very obvious that you do not perceive this person as a woman. You're just saying that to come across as transphobic in the conversation.
Do you really want to be?
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. I mean, I'm looking at him, and I've been around gay people my entire life. When I say my entire life, I mean my entire life. I've been around gay people, and I have met some of the first people who I know who transformed when I was 15. Telling you straight up, that trans man passes. He passes. And she knows he passes. And what she's doing right now is like the Jimmy Dore style of fucking, I'm just going to say my point and pound it down. Regardless if you believe it or not, I'm going to make you believe it. I'll make you believe it because I'm going to repeat it over and over again.
guided by the ambiguous, define yourself as however you want to define yourself. And for her mind to be molded and shaped by men who, no disrespect, women who turn themselves into men and then turn
Why does she keep saying no disrespect and then say some disrespectful ass shit? Why the qualifier? Like, you meant disrespect.
themselves back and
Everything you say before but doesn't count. That's why, Hassan.
say there's a lot of dissatisfaction when the root of the problem wasn't the gender, it was everything
Let's
else.
just- let's slow down, though.
very
I
low
feel like-
I
rates
looked at the
of
percentages.
detransitioning, but that's
I looked at the
neither-
percentages.
That's also a minority of the population.
Feels like you're bundling a lot of ideas, which makes it hard to respond. But
Well,
I
because there's so much data to support
can you
these.
repeat the what's the main question?
Do you
on
want
my
your
end?
daughter's mind to be formed and shaped by a society that tells her it's okay to be masculine and to be a man and that she doesn't need a man?
Wait, what? What the fuck? Why would that be a bad thing?
I
That's
don't
so
know, man.
stupid. What
don't
are you
know.
saying? No, it's totally okay to be masculine. Yes. Does she think that like all masculine?
Seriously, I mean, oh my God. Everybody has known for out time. All you have to do is ask your parents. Everybody has known for all time that there are girls who want to climb trees, scuff their knees, ride bicycles, and, be tomboys. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be lesbian ultimately, but it does mean that they have a proclivity towards kind of more what is considered in our society masculine type of activities. And it doesn't fucking matter because these are completely different arguments. Right? There's the argument of what your interests are, like sporting or adventure or whatnot. Or even in your professional career, right? That's one argument. The next is, what's your sexual orientation? Do you like same sex? Do you like different sex? What do you like, right? Okay, so then we get to the third and more complicated, which is, where do you identify on the gender spectrum? Do you identify with what the medical papers determined you were, which would be considered cisgender? Do you not feel completely comfortable with that and you feel like you're somewhere on the spectrum? That would be non-binary. Do you feel completely opposed to what is happening with you physically but not mentally, and there's like a disconnect? That's transgender, yeah. And it's really not up to any of us to fucking tell people what to do with their lives. What we want is for people to be happy and healthy. And the more we embrace this type of medicine, abortion medicine, transgender medicine, all the pharmaceuticals that we're overpriced for, like insulin, the more we actually embrace the challenges around these areas and the companies involved with trying to make sure that this doesn't happen, the more we just hurt our own society in that regard. We really need to be unified behind the fact that there are some things that do not affect me personally, and if there's a large enough group that wants that reform to help their own marginalized community, then we should have their backs. We should have their backs.
Cis women are automatically trans or something? Like, what the fuck? Gender being a confusing concept oftentimes muddies the waters when you're trying to like cut an argument either way, because you ultimately get back to like a gender abolitionist perspective from the right.
And that it's better off for her to be alone.
Also, there's nothing more hilarious about like, the beacon of gender affirmation, the beacon, I mean beacons if you want to call it, literally fucking talking about like gender affirming care being a bad thing. It's like, bro, you got honkers, dude, bursting from the fucking seams, talking about your medically induced awoogas as a good thing, while simultaneously saying like, well, other people do it, I don't like it. It's wild. Okay.
Well, the funny thing is that, you know, for as much as they've been coming after the drag queen story hours, right? That the drag queens come and read stories to kids to try and create more acceptance, right? That chick has the most drag queen outfit on. I can't even. Like, who the hell wears Seinfeld puffy sleeves with a low cut fucking neckline like that? I can't even, you guys.
Hey, I don't want to say anything, but like, come on now. No disrespect, but you got them titties. Like, what do you mean? You bought those.
And put her career first and not have children.
I think it's more likely than not that she'll probably follow a more conventional path. If my daughter grows up and she wants to dress like a boy, like, great. If she, for whatever reason, is experiencing gender dysphoria, like, we would navigate that together. But that, to me, it doesn't scare me. And I would all the more want to live in a world that...
I feel like that's sad. Because
Why,
it's a
though?
because my son, I encourage him. I say, you are to be, and I really don't care the backlash. You're supposed to be attracted to women. And
Isn't
I tell
that a lot
him,
of pressure?
and I tell, no. And I ask him,
What
who
if
are
he's
you?
not?
Because life forge.
How old is her son that she's having these conversations, which are completely fucked up? Why is she, how old is her son? Oh my God, you guys.
Transgender individuals, and my son's African American as well, is very freaking hard. I don't know if we can swear. I'm sorry.
You can.
It's very hard. You
Frickin'.
know this to be
Dude, oh my God, I love this shit. I fucking love apologizing for saying frickin' while simultaneously saying like an endless amount of like anti-trans shit. I'm so
Right.
sorry. It's like the classic Alex Jones bit, like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, these pedophile vampire perverts on the Democratic Party. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. Oh, fuck, I said fuck. I'm sorry, this is a family-friendly show. It's like, no, you're insane. Nothing you say is family-friendly.
If I didn't have a liberal from New York in the bathroom, I couldn't wipe my ass. Excuse me. I apologize. We have a family audience. That was wrong, and I won't do it again.
Okay.
true.
Asking people...
She said it's hard being black and trans. I wonder why. Yeah, exactly. That is also another really funny liberal homophobic argument, old school. For those of you who don't know, back in the day, liberal homophobic people would say, oh, I don't want my son to be gay because the world is going to be really difficult for them.
Yes, I've heard
What do
this.
you mean? Okay, it's your job to make it easier. You can't...
No, but that's been literally the argument I've heard all along throughout my life from all of my relatives is, well, I just don't want you to date this person because he's Persian and it's probably going to be difficult for you because they have so much of it, like they need to be male dominant all the time. So I got that advice. I also got the advice that I shouldn't date older men because y'all faster than us. Your expectations are a little quicker. So I got that advice. Oh my God, even with all this bullshit. I got the advice that I should never date a man who is immigrated, who has is like first world, like he's first generation US, right? Because he's just recently gotten his citizenship or whatever. I got the advice that I can't date anybody like that because they're gonna bring their third world notions over here. They're going to want to like, abuse me and shit. Oh my God, even with all this. All right, let's continue with the video.
simultaneously be the one making it harder while also be like, oh, that's why I don't want them.
Here's the other thing. Men are falling behind. Is it because of feminism or is there socioeconomic factors that we're not looking at?
Well, how do we define
no.
falling behind?
Let's
Yeah,
look,
what do you see as falling behind?
What's falling behind? So people in America, not just men, everybody is getting poor. This has nothing to do with
Well, that's not
feminism.
true.
No,
That's a mental state.
No, it's not
That's
true.
a mentality.
This is economic data. We're
I'm not
falling
getting
behind.
that.
Well, you can blame your president for that.
Okay,
And
back
the other
to the
thing
prompt.
is, what do you define as masculinity? It can be subjective.
Tell
from
us,
culture to culture.
what do you define
I
masculinity
think masculinity is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't.
This is a classic male W here. Notice how he's just bouldering through the conversation as the female's attempts at cutting in are getting.
I think what Hassan is trying to tell you right here is that there are visual cues that somebody does actually identify with a specific gender. And it does oftentimes come across in style because men have historically been able to get away with being more aggressive in their debate than women, because when we do it, it looks like we're just bitchy women. We're just complaining, we're nagging, right? So we actually have to put a lot more strategy behind the way we speak. But what he's pointing out here is that this transgender man has fully adopted male privileged. Like, I mean, maybe he's not going to say it like that because, like, he's a dude too. But that is basically what just happened here, is that individual who is transgender male completely adopted male privilege in that moment. Regardless if he's from a marginalized community, which many men are, Latinos, Blacks, Asians, or AAPI. You know, there's men in all categories of disenfranchised groups, but they will always have male privilege. They're always going to have it.
Fucking literally slapped away. That's a lifetime of being a man. When you're a man, you constantly fucking stop other people from talking, other men from talking, but certainly other women from talking. So notice how the anti-feminist woman is trying to cut in and he's just like, no, shut up. I'm going to keep going. he just kept talking through it. He's like, yeah, no, okay, shut the fuck up. It is an extremely rare moment where, like, a lifetime of conditioned misogyny that you're not even comprehending because you take it for granted is working, is an extremely rare moment, that is a positive thing.
When I heard the prompt and I heard that, I thought about men falling behind, I thought more like mental health, like suicide is more common with
we're gonna
men.
go here.
No,
Love
but it's
this one.
true. Like men
But it's such
commit
a
suicide at higher
cop out.
rates.
Like, I'm not saying mental health isn't an issue. That it is an issue, and obviously a lot of men are experiencing a lot of pressure.
Have you heard like the term death of despair?
Men are committing suicide more. Men are dying from alcohol-related illnesses more, and they're also dying from drug abuse and drug overdose more.
Correct.
And that's an increasing trend in society.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
see
real.
educational
It is
gaps.
No, there's no denying that. Like, young men are abandoning colleges at a rapid
Yeah, it's a
rate.
lot of pressure to be a man.
They're also
Like
far
that.
lonelier than women are
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
Yeah, women are the
Hold on. Can I finish my point? Sorry. I'm like, don't let me lose my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are they fucking mansplaining? What's up? Are they cutting you off? You want a voice at the table? Oh no. Having too much fun with this? Of course I'm having fun with this. It's like, if these men were just horrible to them right now, they would have to take it because they're like anti-feminist. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point. Just because they are wrong does not give you the right to be a misogynist too, Hassan. No, what gives me the right to be a misogynist is that I am a misogynist, I am a man, and this is my broadcast. Mansplaining to an anti-feminist is...
How did you even find this bullshit? Like, how did you even find this bullshit? How did this come up? Come on now. How did this even come up?
It's like shaming a cuck. Also, for me personally, and I perhaps all the women in the chat who are watching as well, it's funny the contradiction, them experiencing the juxtaposition, them experiencing the actual things that they're advocating for in that moment. That's what's funny.
And actually, that's
It
that's
is.
a
I
very-
looked
that's-
up the definition,
That's a very.
actually.
That's actually a very.
I
ideal
literally
one.
looked it up yesterday.
I feel.
No, you're
I
good.
feel like
I
I
got
really
lost.
need the male feminists also to respond because I feel like they've spoken 20%. Once they're done with their thought, feel free to interrupt, but let them finish.
Pussies, dude. Yeah, that's right. Beta male feminist, dude. Letting the women speak. Stop letting them chirp, dog. Butt in right now. This is what happens. This is the pussification of America, right? In full display. You see that? They have internalized misandry. Is that how that? Yeah, they are. They do. They have internalized misandry. I don't fucking know. Yeah, I think you could say that.
Female sex workers should be more respected.
I subscribe to the idea that legitimizing sex work reduces the safety risks associated with that profession. It's a very old profession. It's been around for a while.
Whoa, what the fuck? She's like a pro sex worker, anti-feminist. Like that's so weird. She's not a swerve. She is a sex work inclusionary anti.
It's not, Hassan. It's not. If you look at some of these horseshoe theory type folks, who, like, for instance, the Convo Couch, Jimmy Dore, that whole, like, live stream network of people, the reality is that they have for years been promoting that sex work is real work. Okay? So they're on that page. But there are other things they disagree with. Like, for instance, the Republican Party is, like, totally down with, like, hashtag save the children right now. But they're using that as, like, some sort of hit campaign against the Democratic Party, that they're run by lizard people who eat babies and drink their blood. Right? Right? So, basically the I'm trying to think back. Give me a second. Because I had connecting points here and then I like totally like. Okay, so I talked about the fact that they're promoting this whole like lizard people bullshit. I talked about how what was the one I said that before that? Okay, I think this video's ruined. I don't know what I can do with this. Like, let's just go.
I mean, she's a swaff. Oh God, I love American politics, man. It's just all people with like incredibly contradictory opinions.
A lot of people don't realize, like, nobody like actively chooses to be in sex work. You're usually going to sex work because of social situations, and if it's a black market, most people ask why I joined the military. It's like,
Okay, I'll back up for a second. I know I got lost in my train of thought, but he's absolutely correct. Like, you can't just say that sex work is real work, because in most cases, not the few cases that are actually regulated, such as like the porn industry, they actually do have regulations over that. But when we're talking about people on the streets, that is human trafficking. And so if the Republican Party keeps fighting against legislation to try and improve this situation, which they have been doing, then how can they possibly call themselves, use the hashtag save the children? Like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And the progressive groups out there that keep doing this sex work is real work, you need to rethink. You need to rethink and look at the statistics.
I was poor. Like, there was no other fucking reason. And I'm not saying it would get rid of exploitation, but if women have legal protections, like if I was a prostitute and I could go up to a cop and say, hey, I got beat up and my money's stolen, not being worried about being arrested, like I would be more likely to report crimes and get the people who are causing problems.
Yeah, and then for the people who just want to do it and...
Damn, this guy's awesome, dude.
When it comes to respect, there's two definitions. Respect either can mean like politeness, like you wouldn't shut the door on somebody that's like walking behind you, like be respectful. The other respect is usually if you do something that in the workplace that garners approval, you've completed a goal. So when we talk about respect when it comes to sex workers, should we be polite to them? Probably. That would be a human thing to do. I don't have to, but yeah. I prefer OnlyFans over the traditional porn industry.
Yeah, because you own it, and then it's
women
a lot
got
more
sex trafficked.
But that agency is important to know that it's what you own, and to have that respect put onto you that like this is your content you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, now it's their copyrighted material. Before, when it was the old porn industry, they didn't have rights to those videos, and that's a huge thing. Like if I want to take my stuff down, you have to go to a court with a copyright case, and it just...
That's what happened with Mia Khalifa. Mm-hmm. That was her whole thing, and luckily now she has a very successful career doing like sports commentating and stuff. But unfortunately, that's not the rule, that's the exception.
When we're encouraging women to go out of their way to sell their bodies on the internet because that's a means to an end, we're not doing that the right.
I fucking hate this argument so much. People make it seem like the entirety of the sex work industry is on like it only operates under tremendous coercion. First of all, capital.
Okay, Hassan, you have to be real that the majority of prostitutes on the street are not part of Hollywood. Okay? And so when we talk about sex trafficking, we're talking about these shady door situations. We're not talking about Hollywood. Like, dude, I get it. You're rich. You got a great place probably on the west side. Maybe Pacific Palisades, maybe, right? But the reality is that that's not what LA looks like. It's not what the rest of the country looks like. Okay? It's not mostly Hollywood porn produced material. If you think that the majority of prostitutes on the street have Hollywood contracts, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Capitalism is the coercion. You're upset about capitalism, which you're not. You love capitalism, I'm sure. They only hyper focus on sex work in general to say like it's so coercive. They're doing it for money. It's like, bro, you sell your body to the fucking American military, which is significantly worse on your body and mind and soul. Okay, you sell your body to McDonald's, which is again, depending on the conditions, significantly worse for your body, your soul, your mental health. The idea that like sex work, especially done by consenting adults, is like worse than any of these other jobs.
Dude, that is such a bad take. That is such a bad take. You know, I do root for you, but I'm sorry, the comparisons that you made that were so fucking patronizing and they were just diminishing the real argument. That was really, really fucking bad. Oh my God, Hassan. Fuck's sake. You have to understand this is a real fucking problem. We can't even get laws passed across the country to prevent child marriage. We've been working on it. I'll copy your link and drop it when I post this video. But I'm not going to get through the whole thing. It's already gone on too long. It's pretty bad, dude.